We live in a time when it seems the best way to achieve a sense of well-being is to avoid reality. As we crawl our way out of a global pandemic, we are now witness to atrocities in Ukraine and face the grip of a new Cold War. As daunting as both of these world events most certainly are, they pale in comparison with the reality of climate collapse. So how do we address individual and systemic issues that lie at the root of the climate crisis? And how do we live and act in the face of climate breakdown without being mired in misery and anxiety? My research looks at how we can develop capabilities to live sustainably well. I've looked at how schools can provide opportunities for students to develop capabilities for well-being, and I want to share with you how this way of looking at our well-being might be helpful in your life. Sustainable well-being, coined by Thomas Falkenberg, describes what it means for a person to live sustainably well within the human and ecological world. To live sustainably, we need to place the concern for well-being of life and life-giving systems at the center of our personal ethic. To live sustainably well involves a reorientation that is grounded in the reality of living well and living in a just and ethical manner. In other words, to live sustainably well means aligning what we think we need to live well within the realm of what allows for a sustainable world. Rather than a puritanical state of self-sacrifice and gloom, sustainable well-being means to act in a way that contributes to one's well-being without diminishing the well-being of others. Think about the reorientation that has taken place over the past few generations concerning drinking and driving. Awareness of the fatal consequences of drinking under the influence has led to a societal reorientation of the parameters of a night out. We place the value of life at the center of our ethical decision to not get behind the wheel after a few drinks, while still enjoying the benefits to our well-being of a night out with friends. Here's another example. Let's say that every year you take a plane trip with all of your friends to Las Vegas. You eat, you drink, you gamble, and you socialize. Through the lens of sustainable well-being, you recognize that the social connection is what contributes most to your well-being. If you went to Las Vegas alone, the experience would be greatly diminished. You also recognize the ecological impact of you and all your friends flying on a plane, as well as the cost to present and future generations. So what do? Rather than deprive yourself of what it means to live well, in this case, fulfilling the need for social connection, you change the once-a-year social gathering in a far-flung place to a once-a-week party in your backyard. You eat, you drink, you gamble, game of poker, and you socialize. In this example, sustainable well-being involves the ethical act of recognizing both what it means to live well and what experiences are ecologically sound. I believe education's central purpose should be to provide students the opportunity to live a good and just life for themselves, for others, embedded in the ecological systems that sustain all life. I'm going to briefly talk about the thinking behind my research into schools that provide opportunities for the development of capabilities to live sustainably well. And then I want to talk about how this might look for us in our adult lives. So I research schools that take children outside, and they do this in order to learn and, crucially, to benefit their well-being through Falkenberg's well-being and well-becoming framework. I look specifically at how teachers provide opportunities that contribute to student well-being. In each study, we begin with the idea that well-being is the fulfillment of human needs. At the beginning of the research, the school community decides which human needs can be addressed by the teacher's nature-based approach. Here we draw from the economist Manfred Max Neef and his fundamental human needs model, which includes, for example, the need for participation. Let's say the school community decides to choose participation as one of the needs that their approach to teaching addresses. They would then brainstorm what capabilities would help to fulfill the need of participation. The capability to express an opinion is an example that helps support the human need to participate. If a student has developed a strong capability to express an opinion, this will, in part, help to fulfill their need to participate in critical discussions. I then look for evidence of opportunities for students to develop the capability to express an opinion and assess the quality of those opportunities. In your life, you can also consider what human needs you would like to address and consider what capabilities are required to help you fulfill those needs. Think about the opportunities that are available to you to further develop those capabilities for well-being. In order to think about how you might be able to do this, let's have a closer look at Max Neef's model of human needs. Each need consists of 4 categories: qualities of the need, things connected to the need, actions involving the need, and settings where the need may be fulfilled. Now that's a lot, so let's just focus on one. Things that are connected to the need. So for example, affection is another human need that Max Neef identifies. 2 things that may be connected to the need for affection is a need for a relationship with nature and also a need for friendships. The next step for you would involve considering what capabilities would be required to build a relationship with nature or enrich or expand your current friendships. So for example, building a relationship with nature would require the capability to focus on what we encounter in nature fully with our senses, avoiding distractions such as our phone or chatterbox in our mind. Enriching or expanding friendships may require the capabilities to listen and to empathize. The final step here then would be to look for opportunities to intentionally develop these capabilities. So you might go for a walk in the park with your phone off and your senses on and alive. You might reconnect with that old friend and exercise that listening muscle as you reconnect. This is the idea behind developing capabilities for well-being. And what about the climate crisis? In order to begin to collectively tackle such difficult problems, we first need to address our basic human needs. We need a full stomach and a clear mind to do this work. Many of the basic needs Max Neef identifies, such as participation and affection, are absolutely required in order to collectively face the years of struggle ahead. That old nugget, you don't save what you don't love, expresses the need for a relationship with nature. The capability to listen to other perspectives and empathize with those most negatively affected by the climate crisis are key to addressing the complexity of this emergency. And none of us can make any kind of impact alone. We need to act together. A useful way to extend this approach to taking action on the climate crisis is to think in terms of collective well-being. What does the natural world that we're a part of need to survive this crisis? What capabilities do we require to fulfill those needs? What opportunities, and there are many, are available to develop these capabilities? The climate crisis is the defining issue of our time on this planet. Avoiding reality is not an option. We need each of us together to build ourselves up for what lies ahead.